Well, hello again, everyone. Yeah. I'm currently in a little place called Ponta Diaba, and Ponta Diabia, I think, and it's just about 25 kilometers south of Siena. And Siena was where I was yesterday. Some of you may have seen on my Facebook posts and my Instagram. And I'm still wending my way down. I'm on time. I have had to use a bit of public transport these last couple of days because of the injury I sustained when I fell. Meant that I wasn't able to really walk, and in order to maintain my progress and actually get to Rome on time, I've had to compromise. And that's one of the lessons that I've learnt since being on the road, is that actually not everything goes as planned, and actually making plans can sometimes just be pointless. And this video is less of an update video. It's a bit more of one of my rants, really. Well, not rants, or rambles more so, about what I've learned and experienced along the way. The last time I did that, I was, I think, in Mio, and I talked about letting go of the possessions and things, the material aspects of life, and really evaluating what's important, what's needed, what's not needed, and what brings joy and happiness, and what just encumbers and weighs you down. And I think over this last bit, this Italian leg, I've come on to the Francagina, which is a massive pilgrimage route from Canterbury all the way down to the bottom of Italy, but most people stop at Rome. And so I've encountered a whole bunch of other pilgrims, and it's been wonderful. Most of them are much younger than me, and I've been engaging in some wonderful conversations about why they're on pilgrimage, what they've experienced, where they are in life. And it's just amazing how going on pilgrimage changes people. I've spoken to many, and there are some common themes, and that's what I really want to talk about, because part of this journey has helped me come to not just evaluate the material possessions and aspects that I have that I need to shed, but shedding those false images of ourselves which we create in order initially just to protect us, to project a persona on the world in order to try and please other people, to project a persona on the world in order to conform to societal norms, and just to be perceived and liked by others, and it's all false, but it's actually quite needed when we're young and growing up. We need to experiment and try different things on in order to see who we truly are. But we're always under that false impression that what we project out into the world is actually what other people see and perceive of us. But what we know through our own experience of other people is that we always see other people, each other, through our own lens and perspective. And it doesn't matter how the other person's trying to project themselves to us. We'll always interpret it through our own life, eyes, and our own experience in life. So no matter what I try to project out, the Philip that I want everyone to think I am and know and to perceive me to be isn't going to be the way that I'm perceived by by yourselves. You're going to see me through your perspective and lens and experience of life. So no matter who I encounter, each one of you will see me in a different way, and you won't see me in the same way as another person will see me. And so therefore, as it says, to thyself be true. And perhaps one of the things that when I've been talking to other pilgrims along the way, it's one of the common things that comes out is that one of the things they start to see and start to shed is the image of themselves that they have wished to project out there. They come to see that it's not truly who they are. And the pilgrimage often allows them to start to let go of that image, that person, that false self, and to be brave and allow their true self to come forward. It's already there. It's not a discovering of oneself. It's actually a revealing of what's already part of who you are. It's who you are already. And when you remove the glamour, as it were, to use some terms from the fairy kingdom, as people can start to perceive you, you start to perceive yourself as to genuinely who you are, and you start to cease to care about what society thinks and how others will perceive you, because you've come to realize that others will perceive you as they want to perceive you, no matter what you do, because, like I just said, we all see each other through our own lens and through our own experience, no matter what we do. So we may as well be true to ourselves. We may as well shed these false images, these protection strategies that we develop as we're young. As Richard Rohr says, the first half of life is building a container. The second half of life is effectively getting rid of the container. But, which is effectively, you develop an ego, and often the ego you start to serve your ego, where actually a healthy ego is important, but it should be a servant to you, not the other way around. But for most of us, we end up serving the ego. Because it's a very powerful thing. It wants to be liked, it wants to be popular, it wants all those things. But it often, and as soon as we start to try and take control of that and to allow our genuine self to emerge, our egos flip out and start to pull down the shutters and all the protection strategies. Because what if we are truly who we're meant to be, who we truly are, and people don't like us? It's a risk, and it's a risk not worth taking according to our egos. But pilgrimage has, I think, helped me, and it seems like a lot of other people who I talk to go beyond that fear and to realize actually being true to oneself, allowing one's true self to come forward, it's worth the risk. Because the opinions of others, not that they don't matter, but they don't hold the same weight as they did. And you start to realize whose opinions are actually of value to you and whose aren't. And those who still hang around you when your true self is revealed, well, they're the ones that you want to keep, aren't they? They're the ones who see see you as you are and value you and love you for that, and don't wish to change you. They wish to honor and to respect and to love the very person that is there. That's, I think, what true belonging is. Most of our world and society seems to be about conforming. Conforming to societal images and norms and expectations. That's both within the church and outside the church. That's not true belonging, that's conforming. You've got to be a nice little middle class Anglican or whatever you are. That's just conforming. If you really are amongst people who want you to belong, belonging can only happen if you're able to be fully who you are and still welcomed and accepted and embraced and loved for the difference that you bring. And I think that's really what deep down we're all trying to seek, and I think very much what Jesus asks us to do. Unfortunately, sometimes when you're fully who you are, you may end up getting crucified, but hopefully that doesn't happen too much these days. And certainly, my main man, St. Francis, received a heck of a lot of pushback when he discovered and allowed his true self to be revealed. He wasn't compromising on who he was. And in the end, he's, as they say here in Italy, San Francesco, he saved the church. And maybe that's what happens when we start to become fully who we are. We not only save ourselves, we save the communities we're in. It just reminds me of that passage in John's Gospel where Jesus talks about the seed has to go into the earth and die for it to produce its full fruit. And I've always seen that as the fact that we have to allow these false images that we project, these ego-driven perceptions of who we want the world to see us as. We need to let all that die in order for us to truly be who ourselves. Unless you die, you can't live, as Jesus says in that parable. And I think pilgrimage is a good way to start to confront that. You can't escape yourself. And so you start to learn to love and embrace the true person you are. And I suppose that's one of my, I don't think you have to necessarily go on pilgrimage for that. But maybe that's one of the encouragements I would like to bring to bear from this pilgrimage, is the encouragement for people to be fully who they are, to reveal what's already there, but so often fear prevents us from revealing that to the world, for fear of rejection and pushback, and fear for not wanting to belong, no longer conforming to the way of this world. But for those who take the risk, who jump into that and allow the fullness of themselves to come to the fore, and not to do it in a compromising way, those who see the beauty, they will be the people that you belong to, because they will want you to be fully yourself and not want to conform to their image or expectations of what you ought to be. It's the sort of church that I would like to see and see come to its fore. So there's my ramblings for today. That's what I've seen and what I've experienced in the conversations I've had with other pilgrims in this section of the what I'll call the Italian section of my pilgrimage, as I've walked along the Francigena. So God bless for now, and I'm hopefully do another one of these when I reach Rome. Take care. Bye.